Welcome to the Skilled Trade Rescue Podcast. My name is Martin King, as always, your dedicated host. Well, we have another special guest for the podcast today. This is a guy named Andrew Brown. If you've been hanging out on LinkedIn at all and you're connected to the tags of skilled trades, there's a good chance that Andrew's videos have popped up in your feed at one time or another. His videos are very entertaining as well as informational. Now, Andrew is a college graduate, but he actually jumped over into skilled trades, I think, in a really unique way. And I'm going to tease it a little bit. It had to do with his experience on the ground in New York during 9/11. So this is something I think that's heartfelt, and I think it'll be connect to a lot of you out there, I hope. Well, without further ado, let's jump over to the podcast. And before we do, I'd like to ask all of you out there if you'll please comment, click like, or whatever the appropriate thing is on the platform that you're possibly seeing this video. It helps us get our message out to more people. All right, let's jump over to the podcast and welcome in Andrew Brown.
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. So to give you a little context about me and sort of my background, I have to take you back to September 11, 2001, when I was 23 years old, living in New York City. And the planes had just hit the Twin Towers at the time. And like everyone else, we were in complete shock. And I got this feeling inside that I had to do something. And I called up my friend in Rhode Island at the time, and I said to him, we need to go down there. We need to help. And after some convincing back and forth, a couple of days later, he did show up. He showed up in a big blue truck with an American flag on the back. He was dressed as a tradesperson and had a separate pair of overalls and a hard hat for myself. And I found myself with him going down the West Side Highway from checkpoint to checkpoint. And then we parked the car. We make it down to Ground Zero at that point. Don't ask me how we got through the checkpoints. Get out of the car, and then all of a sudden, I found myself on Ground Zero, where it once stood only a few days after, helping emergency workers and tradespeople find survivors. And I was watching the tradespeople on site, and I was watching them with no PPE on, no protection, and running into unstable structures and using any means necessary to find survivors. And you talk about trajectory changes and personal, everything from a personal standpoint of changing the way I viewed the world, changed everything for me. And after that experience, I quit my job. I was working in IT at the time, literally gave my 2 weeks notice. And I spent weeks, a couple months, sleepless nights of trying to figure out how to get back to the tradespeople that I saw down at Ground Zero. And that's where I co-founded an online tool and equipment business named Toolfetch with my brother. About 23 years ago, we're still going strong. We still love the business today. We sell tools to the skilled trades, so professionals like welders, carpenters, plumbers, and other blue-collar trades. So these are the men and women who are building and repairing our bridges, our tunnels, our roads. And we offer one of the largest online tool and equipment catalogs on the internet with 1 million different products from 650 different vendors. Products like lifts, cement mixers, drain cleaners, harnesses, stuff like that. That is my way to get back to the skilled trades, and I've been doing that consistently over the last 22, 23 years.
That is one heck of a story, Andrew. Wow. That's a big, it's interesting on how I hear that story, not quite like that, but I hear stories about people being at a crossroads and being exposed somehow, some way to one of the millions of skilled trade jobs out there. And that I hear that type of story where, wow, this is really interesting. I had no idea what makes these things happen. And well, bless you, man, for responding to it, servicing the call. That's really great. How did you get into doing skilled trade cheerleading? Because that's what I call you. You're one of this. When I talk to folks about you, I'm going, well, this guy's a cheerleader, man. He's the A team. How'd you get into that? Doing that? Have you always been like social media active, or I just ran into you maybe a few months ago.
Yeah. So interesting enough. So I've been doing this really for 22, 23 years. So I speak to welders and plumbers and electricians around the country. And I've always heard their stories. I've always spoken to them, and we talked about, the conversation always comes up about the wages. It comes up about the skilled trades gap. It comes up about people retiring and not kids not wanting to go into the trades fields. And I just got fed up. I just want, it was kind of like one day, like, you know what? Why don't I start putting content out there? It just start talking about the skilled trades and the different topics. And I did that starting last year around September of 22. And I did that on LinkedIn. And what I found after a handful of videos in messaging is that there were so many people in the skilled trades on LinkedIn. I didn't realize that. I just didn't know. And the engagement and the feedback and the conversations, and it just amplified everything what I was listening to throughout my career, and just kind of kicked this messaging piece off for me to be almost like a voice or a beacon, or that the blue collar skilled trades doesn't have, that they just don't get the recognition they deserve. And I've just made a commitment to show up every day with a video, with a message, and just keep putting it out there about the skilled trades. And I've just been doing it consistently every single day since last year. But I've really been doing it, behind the scenes since I really started my journey, obviously, coming off of 9/11. But I never did it socially, obviously, until recently.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, because I found, I've commented on a lot of your stuff, and you make your stuff entertaining. And I think that's, if we're going to get the next generation into trades, we have to meet them where they're at, and not, do these long-winded videos. And I learned that the hard way. I've been doing this a while too. And you're not going to make a 30-minute video talking about how great the skilled trades are if you can't say your message. And I think you do most of yours in less than a minute. I think that's just, I can't believe how much content you squeeze in less than a minute. It's pretty impressive. What are some of the biggest headwinds you think that are, standing in the way of getting the next generation in here to replace us old guys? I mean, what are some of the big headwinds, the resistances? Why aren't we getting enough young people, men and women, into skilled trades these days? What's your opinion about that?
Yeah, so some of the reasons why this is happening really comes down to the messaging. So where are kids getting their information from? Guidance counselors, parents, teachers. What are they preaching, right? I always say when somebody's growing up in a household, and what are parents saying? Or parents, when college comes up, what is their thought on college versus another path like a trades path? What's being spoken about in the household? That's one aspect. And then when kids are in school, when they're sitting down with a guidance counselor and let's say they're, 17 years old, what's being spoken about? Is it just college? Or possibly is a trades path even discussed? And same with teachers. I always say that teachers and guidance counselors are the best marketers for college, because they're giving them free referrals, right? Where is the trades path? Where is the discussion? Maybe it's happening, maybe it's not happening. And I also feel that what happened to all the shop classes at school? You used to take a shop class, right? It was almost a prerequisite that you needed to work in wood shop or some sort of shop to understand how tools work and build stuff. That can create a spark for a kid who has got mechanical ability, right? And can work with their hands. If that shop class is not there, the guidance counselor is telling you to go to college, right? Your teacher's saying the same thing, your parents, you kind of follow that suit. There's nothing wrong with college. I am more of an advocate of giving kids options so they can say, okay, yeah, you can do the college thing, but you can also do this trades thing that obviously less debt, you start making money, become apprentice, and there's a tremendous ladder for success for you to build up your skills and maybe become a business owner one day, or maybe run a construction company one day. And it takes time and it takes energy, but it's a great skill to have. And I think we're doing a good job. Me putting my messages out, you doing your podcast, and everybody else chipping away at this old adage. We need to all work together, and through social media, like you said, is giving the ability to put that out there to kids that are consuming the content. So that's why, for me, I keep showing up every day to keep doing it, because people need to hear it 6 times, 7 times, 8 times, 10 times. You can't just say it once. You just got to keep saying it again, and then it resonates from there. So it's just all of us working together.
Yeah, I'm on the kind of the same path you are. Everything you said, I think I had to hold back a couple of tears at the stuff you just told me, because that's what I'm seeing as well, is a headwind. And I'm going to take that one step further. And I've got some videos coming in about that. I've been working with an economist on data, and I think in that same scenario that you put out there, the discussions with the teachers, discussions with the guidance counselors, discussions, beginning discussions with colleges. One of the things that is just flat out wrong out there is the wage data. Matter of fact, I'm running a survey right now on LinkedIn, and I'm also running a national survey. I'm trying to get people involved in it, where a lot of major markets in the U.S., and you pick the trade, but a major market, the data put out by the government, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, is just flat out wrong. Like for example, an HVAC, that's where I'm coming from, HVAC industry, the national average is $48,000, according to BLS. Well, there's no qualifications to that number. They don't talk about, was this union, non-union, private, what is it, prevailing wage project? None of that has come up with a discussion. And what I found out is, and this is all public information if you want to really dig for it, what I found out is most of the wage data that's reported by the BLS, most of their data comes from mail-in questionnaires. So I ask you, if you mail out 1,000 questionnaires to a Bay Area contractor or group of contractors, who do you think is going to have the time to fill that out? Not people that are super busy, I can tell you that. And anyway, what happens is all this data that comes back in is understating the wages. And who are the first individuals to pull that out and slide it under the parents' nose and the students' nose? The guidance counselors and the college folks, and some of the teachers are just going to say, you don't make any money in skilled trades. And in 2023, that's just not true. That's not true. So what do you think about that? Do you think that's an issue?
Yeah, and that just goes back to the old adage of the old messaging that it could be on the same plane that it's dirty, it's option B, and it's only for the bad kids. You don't do well in school, you could be a plumber. It falls into that same sort of category. That right. Where are they getting sort of the information? Kids need to obviously do their research, and not just obviously the teachers might give some information on something, or maybe even a guidance counselor says to a kid, hey, you're better going into college for 4 years, and you'll come out and you'll get a white collar job and that type of stuff. And here's a prime example for you. You talk about wages. My kids and I play the game of life. You ever play the game of life?
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
So yeah. There's an upgraded version, and it's very different than when I was a kid. But it gives you two options. It gives you a career path, and it gives you a college path. The college path says you got to pay $100,000 to the bank. Okay. So my daughter, she gave $100,000 to the bank, and she chose to be a doctor. And as a doctor, you make $130,000. That's what the game said, right? And the career path said, do you want to be a race car driver? Do you want to be an actor? There was no mention of a tradesperson. There was no mention of a plumber, electrician, nothing. And it said in bold writing, and I wish I had it. It says in the directions, you're more likely to get a better paying job if you go to college. And it was in bold in the instructions.
Oh boy, yeah.
It even comes from your board games, right? That it's stating that the college is the better path. You're more likely to make more money, and it's not true. You're coming out with a tremendous amount of debt. You're coming out with, and for me, in my personal experience, I went to college for 4 years. I came out more lost out of school than when I was in school.
Right.
And I went from major to major trying to figure out what I was doing.
Right.
And I switched, and then I went into something completely different. But I had a life-changing event in 9/11. But you know where you get your information from, right? But this is what happens.
Yeah, that's a great segue. So I think you were talking about this not too long ago. What do you think that AI, artificial intelligence, is going to do to the folks that are getting these college degrees. I mean, I see that to be a major disruptor, even for the teaching industry as well, right?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
AI is a game changer. We're so in the beginning stages. I mean, this is bigger than the internet, right? Or a lot of other things in the past handful of years. And everybody is, to some degree, concerned. Does it replace a teacher? Kids doing reports based off of AI. You know, what happens to all the learning that you would do normally that now AI can do? But the same thing could be said for when the calculator came out. You don't have to do all the formulas. Everybody was saying stuff like that. I think it will be beneficial for certain aspects. In white collar jobs, there are a lot of jobs I think that might go away, or a lot more jobs that will be created. And I always say, when it comes to the skilled trades, you can't replace the plumber that needs to work on the pipes, right? You still need an electrician. You still need someone to fix your boiler, right? That's not going to go away. It might help with automation, right? Some of that repetitive stuff that maybe is more kind of backbreaking work. That stuff can maybe go away when it comes to the skilled trades and repetitive work. But you still need an individual. You still need the mind of an individual to figure out things. I think it will help sort of amplify and make things a little bit better. But I don't think it's going to change the skilled trades in an aspect where it's going to be some robot AI driven, building a house. Maybe one day in the way future, but not today or tomorrow. But from a white collar standpoint and their jobs, there's going to be probably some jobs that will eventually go away. So, I mean, it's still early in this whole thing, but time will tell to see how that affects.
Yeah, that's one thing that, in my conversation with younger folks that are, I talk to college graduates that have done, they've exercised what they've learned, and they're working in jobs that they went to school for, and they're not happy. And I know a lot of people like you that went through college that decided, maybe I want to try something a little bit different. And what's real interesting is at the beginning stages, when these folks are thinking about getting into trades, there's a disconnect between what trades do to keep the wheels on in America. And the example I like to use is data centers. A data center, people hear about them, they know they exist, a lot of them, but nobody really makes the connection, like what we're doing right now. Just you and I having this conversation right now is processed through some blade server, who knows where the heck the darn thing's at. And if that server gets too hot, the humidity's not right, the power's not right, Andrew and Martin go away. Bloop, we're gone. So same thing with Google. You put in a request or AI for that matter. It will not work unless they have data centers to process all that vast amount of information. And without HVAC techs, electricians, plumbers, control experts, people that do building automation, without all those people working in concert, we don't have what we have. It's just, and I get these blank looks like, what, really? Yeah.
A lot of that is, people take it for granted. I flip the switch on my light switch and lights go on. I flush the toilet and the toilet flushes, right? And everything in between that you have in your house, to the bridges and tunnels that you travel over, to the elevator that you ride, everything is touched by some sort of trades related field. And I always make a joke that if we woke up tomorrow and poof, all the tradespeople are gone,
right,
man, we'd be in a bad place. But to reemphasize, over the next 5 or 10 years, if 40% are leaving the workforce or in retirement age and not enough are coming back in to replace them, we're not going to be in a good place.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time.
That's for sure. So Andrew, you talk to a lot of tradespeople in your business and stuff. So do you have like a couple stories, maybe like somebody who that went to college and actually decided to go into the trades, or maybe somebody who was really conflicted and right out of high school and they decided to go into the trades, and they've done some amazing things. You got any stories that come to mind? Inspirational stories?
Nothing. Yeah, unfortunately, nothing specific that comes to the top of my head. All these, whether it's somebody who reaches out on LinkedIn and talks about their kid who's interested in the trades and that they're 20-something years old and they're doing well and they're on their way to make over six figures, to listening to somebody I just spoke to who's a lineman. He's in his mid-20s and he's doing extremely well. You just hear all these different stories of people that have really succeeded.
If you're a skilled trade pro or a business owner that employs skilled trades people, you may want to check out the BEST Skilled Trade Career Development Process. I know that's a mouthful, but what we cover in this process is the 4 key elements that can help transform an okay or even a good career into something amazing. We cover technical excellence, work ethic, how to build generational wealth, and most importantly, how to maintain work-life balance, which is exceptionally challenging these days. We're having a free workshop on BEST coming soon. We're currently doing pre-registry on it. Now, one of the things about this workshop, since it is free, we're limiting the size because this is an interactive workshop. We're going to try and learn as much as help others in the skilled trades. So go to skilledtraderescue.com, go to the top, any one of the menu bars, look for BEST to read up on what's going on with this process and pre-register for this workshop that'll be coming your way soon. All right, well, without further ado, let's jump right back into this episode of the skilledtraderescue.com podcast.
In the trades, nothing specific that I can really tell you, but just hearing all the different aspects and getting that from people I meet on social media to people obviously that I speak to on the phone around the country, it's more positive. It's more positive, and it's uplifting to hear these stories of success. I always say that the people ask, well, who's the big house in the corner? Well, it's the guy who owns the plumbing company. Wait, is it plumbing? I don't understand the whole, it's mind-boggling for people to really sort of understand that there is a lot of success, especially today in trades, because there's so much work that's available. And here's a perfect example. I was sitting around with some friends on the weekend, and someone was saying something like, I can't find anybody to come in and do my kitchen. I'm like, of course not. They have so much work that they have. They don't want to, they can pick and choose the jobs they want and ask for the money they want. And, from a trades perspective, you're in a really good place over the next handful of years. There's this window that you can really do extremely well because of all the people retiring, that you can really come in and make your mark in the trades.
What do you think that, folks like us could do better at or do more of, or what do you think that folks that are enthusiasts for skilled trades, besides what we're doing, what do you think we can do to help promote skilled trades that we're not doing now? I'm constantly asking myself that question.
It's promoting the success stories of what you do and why you do it. So you're not just building a school, you're building a school for kids to learn, right? You're repairing bridges and tunnels for people to travel over. You're building a building that creates jobs. You need to share with kids because they're intrigued, but they don't understand possibly the bigger picture. And especially if a kid is let's just say in a career fair, and he's looking at colleges, and he's looking at a couple of companies, and he stumbles upon a construction company. And the construction company, shares the experiences of what you can do. And there is this sense of fulfillment and accomplishment to really work with your hands, especially if that kid is interested, is mechanically inclined. Sharing those success stories, sharing what it takes to stair step that ladder of success that you can be. You start off as an apprentice, maybe you can be a journeyman or a master and work your way up and possibly have your own business one day. I just think it's people in different trades sharing success stories, sharing a day in the life of what it's really like, how long it takes, obviously, to go through that path. But I think the success stories, and I've highlighted some people over some of my videos of people who have been successful, and people see that and they say, wow, that's amazing. Mm-hmm. So I think cluing people in to people's lives and how it's changed them through the trades is how you get that messaging across, especially on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to see these field people that are, they turn out as a journeyman, they get to work, in the trades, and they're doing really well, and they're looking around and saying, well, okay, what do I do next? And there's huge opportunities in the business side. So you have a certain number of businesses out there that their family. So you've got kids that are coming up and they're going to replace their parents. But there's a lot of companies that I think, especially now, that are run by people in their 50s and 60s. And I think there's space in there for the top-notch techs to start to express to the ownership that, hey, I'd like to have an opportunity to somehow, some way, get an ownership stake in this company. And because one of the things that a lot of people working in with their hands don't necessarily think about is our entire tax system for middle-class people like me. The only way you're going to really dramatically build wealth. You can still become a millionaire working with your hands and being a technician for sure. But if you want to control taxes, owning your own business is the only way to do that. And trying to get the message out to the people working in the trades. They've got 5, 6, 7, 10 years in, and they want to kind of take their career to the next level. Business ownership's definitely a good track.
Yeah, entrepreneurship, right? People, yep. I'm an entrepreneur, 22, 23 years sort of in the business. I think one piece of advice is mentorship. So if you are interested and you're in the trades and you have this peak interest of, well, maybe one day I can be CEO or the owner, or I can start my own business. It's working with somebody who's been there and done that will shave off so much time. And I wish I did that as a kid. I wish I did that in my career in the beginning. I did not do that until that a few years ago. But I think working with somebody who's been there and done that in mentorship and training can really guide you in a path, a glide path that maybe it would take you a lot longer to do. So I think doing that and attaching yourself to somebody who is a little bit wiser and older and can really give you that push along might cut out a lot of years of you doing it yourself.
Yeah, I've told this to everybody to listen. I've never been to Harvard Business School, but I know I paid the tuition a couple times over from the stupid mistakes I've made.
Sure.
It's like, and yeah, you're exactly right. There's been crossroads, in business ownership that I was blessed to have a couple key individuals that, were able to, call BS on things. Because, when you're a business owner, a lot of times you can get caught up in your own reality distortion field, as Steve Jobs said. And it takes a mentor to, kind of knock you up the side of the head and say, that's not real clear thinking there, and you have respect for that person. So you tend to listen a little bit, right?
Exactly. And for me, in my journey, I'm a part of a group called Vistage. Vistage is a group of CEOs around the country, and everybody's sort of in a group. So I have 20 different CEOs that I meet with on a monthly basis, right? So they do say, yes, it's lonely at the top, right? And who do you talk to? Well, the business group gives me an ability to hash out issues, problems, and things that I just didn't know. So I'm all about learning, and I'm all about being open to say, I don't know. How do I do that? And that's where the learning aspect comes in. You have to be willing to take open criticism, I would say, and feedback, how to keep driving forward in your entrepreneurial path.
I want to delve into the mentorship, sort of the day in the life of a technician. So let's say you got a welder, and he's been at it, or she has been at it for a couple of years, and they're feeling kind of stuck and kind of frustrated, and they would be a prime candidate to find a mentor. So how does a typical person, our welder friend, what steps do you think would be smart for them to take to find a mentor in the welding industry, for example?
Yeah, well, hopefully it's somebody possibly at the company itself. So if you are working at a typical organization, hopefully there is somebody that is a little bit higher up and is willing to be open to work with you. That's obviously one aspect. Trades organizations, the Welding Society, and reaching out to them. Obviously, they have different ways that you can connect with different people in your community or who are in the welding community. Hopefully, you can attach to somebody like that. But it's all about obviously networking. It's all about meeting new people and getting different perspectives on things to help you keep evolving, especially in your trade or what you're looking to do. But it's really up to you to do that.
Right.
You can't sit back and just wait. You need to be proactive. You need to be out there. You need to be networking to be around the people that are going to propel you up for you to take that next step. But you gotta be willing to do that. Right. Not a lot of people. Some people don't want to do that. Some people are happy and they want to stay where they are. But some people really want to level up, and you really need to push to find the right individual or group of people to talk to.
Quick announcement about a new ebook that we have out called Technical Excellence. This is the foundation of the BEST skilled trade career development process. Some of the things that we'll be covering in this book include the power of mentors and how to find the right ones that will help you consistently move your skilled trade career forward. Creating your vision. What do you want to get accomplished over the next 3 to 5 years in your skilled trade journey? Success strategies. So once you've developed your vision, you need strategies that will help you execute that process to get things going and keep them going. Success habits. Everybody has good habits and bad habits. Within the book, we help identify what habits are hurting your career, and we try to replace those bad habits with ones that support your career. Taking in feedback. This is a learned skill that is very, very critical. When you have a challenge, you're getting your mentors involved, you measure those challenges against your vision, your strategies, you need to get advice. And learning how to take that advice, apply that advice to the challenges before you is definitely an important skill that will serve you very well over your skilled trade career. For more information on the Technical Excellence ebook, as well as other ebooks that we have coming up, go to skilledtraderescue.com, go to the top of any one of the pages and click on the Learn ebook link, and that'll take you to our ebook page. You can read up on what's going on. There's some discounts if you get a chance to watch the video on the page, and I hope you enjoy this book and you get a lot of value out of it. One of the things that before we wrap things up here, one of the things that I hear a lot is around year 4 or 5, somewhere around there nowadays, because these people working in skilled trades are so busy that there's higher percentages of people getting burnout. And one of the things that it's really a tragedy, I think, is you get people that are they're enjoying skilled trades, but they're just working, and their life balance gets out of whack, and they end up jumping out of the trades for some other type of an occupation because they're just burnt out. And I don't see that changing. I see that kind of accelerating a little bit because we have the shortage. As more baby boomers retire, if you are good at what you do, you're gonna have more hours than availability to work, or people are gonna want you to work more hours than you can, and you get burned out. And I think that I think that's another headwind. What do you think about the burnout factor?
I mean, look, there's burnout in anything, right? It could be the trades or something else that over time that you're just you're doing it over and over again,
right?
And there's so much work out there that there comes a point that it's, what am I doing? What's the plan? What's the next step here? What is the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year plans? Mm-hmm. It is a difficult situation because here's a perfect example. We have somebody who services our dryer, and he's 66, 67 years old, And we got to talking about the trades, and he said to me, I got the perfect job. I make good money. In his case, he doesn't work long hours, but nobody wants to take over my job. Nobody wants it. And he's scratching his head saying, why doesn't anybody want to take it? You know, again, it goes back to kids not getting the right messaging and wanting to go into other things, that they don't see the possibilities of what's possible in the trades. And what happens is he retires and that's it, right? No one takes his place, and it just keeps amplifying and amplifying and amplifying. And that's kind of just where we need to work on the messaging and really share the success stories of what is possible in the trades, that you really can climb the ladder and you can really work your way up to get to a certain level. Again, going back to your point, you know, it's a problem, and it's something that we all need to work together to solve. I don't think there is one fix per se, and that's why we're each kind of doing our own, messaging and battle cry for people to work together and to try to solve this overall problem of the skills gap and all that type of stuff.
Cool. Let me frame out my last question for you, Andrew. I'd love to hear your input on this. So, speaking to parents that might have sophomore, junior, seniors in high school right now, coming out of the pandemic, what they saw over the shoulders of their kids during the pandemic, they didn't particularly care for too much. And now, the kids are sitting down for their SAT tests, and those conversations we talked at the front end of our conversation are starting to happen between the parents and the student and the son or daughter that's getting ready to graduate, and the son or daughter's talking to the guidance counselors, and possibly they're getting stuff showing up in their mail from all the gazillions of colleges out there that want them to come to their college. The parents are thinking, all right, well, we've worked really hard to build up this college fund or not, and we know that our son or daughter is going to lean on us for guidance. What's the best advice that you could give to parents out there that they know their kids the best? What kind of advice can you give to the parents as they're trying to guide their youth to make a good decision, regardless if it's college or skilled trades? What kind of advice would you give?
Yeah, so look, I'm going to run into that situation when my kids are a little bit older, and my kids are a little bit younger, so I can't have that conversation yet. And at some point, there's going to come a time where it's college, trades path, or another direction. And one, I think with parents, first they just need the right information. So even if they are talking about the skilled trades, they have the right information sort of in front of them. Because if they don't, and they're preaching sort of the old adage that it's just not the right way to go about, you should be going to college and you should be getting a 4-year degree. That's one thing. But also sitting down with kids and saying, okay, well, if you're going to go college, that's great. But us as parents, and a lot of parents, unfortunately can't afford college. Well, you're going to need to take out a loan, and you're going to need to pay your way or work your way. And when you come out of college, you're going to have to find a good job to pay all that back. And guess what? What if you want a house one day, you're going to take a mortgage, and that's more debt. There has to be just sort of like a discussion of not over the next handful of years, but what it looks like over the next 10 years for you. When you're out of college, what are you going to do? Because I think that it's not the same as it once was. College is a lot more expensive than it once was, and you're coming out with a lot more debt. And the options, especially when it comes to a white collar job, are not out there that they once were. So, and I can, again, only tell you from my experience about bouncing around from major to major. And then, also talking about, again, the skilled trades. If the parents will give that sort of option. I can't tell you that they can, but I'm hopeful that they can at least provide that option for the skilled trades, and just, come out with less debt. You can go into trade school, you can become an apprentice, you can make money, you're ahead of the game as opposed to going sort of the college route, coming out with a lot of debt. I think every family needs to sort of weigh out those options, but give your kid options and let them decide.
Yeah, that's great. Great answer, man. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Andrew is he is the tool guy. It's toolfetch.com, I guess. That's your website?
Toolfetch.com.
Yeah.
Yep. You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, under Andrew Brown, YouTube under Toolfetch, or you can just reach out to me at any point. I always like to talk to people in the skilled trades, or if you want to talk shop about tools,